Alright, there we go. Alright, just like before, if you want to start.
Sure, start. Well, Mark, I guess we're back together.
Yep.
It's a shame we can't have bee meetings no more.
I know it. Yeah, maybe someday we can, but you know, along those lines, with the whole coronavirus thing, everything being shut down, I had to take drastic measures the other day.
Mm.
You know, barbershops are closed.
I know that. As you can tell, I know that very well.
Well, I was getting to that point. I mean, I was starting to look like
Overhang.
cousin It just a little bit.
Mm-hmm. That's
So
a bad look, by the way.
Oh, I know. So I had to get the clippers out, go to the skin. But
and I warned you a minute ago. Remember, you come walking up through the sun there.
Yeah,
I said, you
I
better
know.
watch that sunshine on that head.
Yeah,
that
I
could
know.
be a bad deal.
yeah, it cooked me.
But I'm hopeful here pretty soon they'll open things back up and we can have bee meetings again.
I hope so
I
too.
mean, let's face it, we miss them.
That's
we
right.
do miss them. But again, I do appreciate you taking the time and effort to do a little filming where we can talk a little bit about bees.
We enjoy it.
And so you gotta like it. Gotta like it. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
This time of year, I mean, this is prime time for beekeepers. The day, what is it right now? About 83, 84 degrees up there. Is it?
One right
Yeah.
there. Yes, about 85.
Yeah, about 85 right now. Couldn't get no better. Got a light breeze. We got good ground moisture. Yesterday was a good day, and so the bees are doing it today.
Yeah.
I mean, they're doing it today. And so all beekeepers got to like this time of year. Can be frustrating sometimes too,
Oh yeah.
because let's face it, you can't get behind. Bees don't wait on you.
Yeah.
You remember that. Bees don't wait on you.
That's right.
And so you got to stay in front a little bit. So right now with the flow going on, and this flow's on. I mean,
Yeah.
the major flow is wide open right now. That means you got to check your supers, okay? And you may want to think about adding a super.
Now, you know, I had some people comment on the Facebook page about how do you know when? What's the determining factor of when you add space like that? Maybe if you could give a couple
Yeah, sure. Sure.
pointers.
Again, a little bit depends on the status of the colony. Okay, it's a full-blown double brood box colony, getting up towards maximum population. That's a little different than maybe a package.
Yeah.
Okay, and so, and let's talk about the difference a little bit. Full-blown colony right now. Let's face it, they're maxing out again, and you'd be surprised how fast they can fill a super.
Yeah.
Okay, I've seen fill supers like in 3 days. That kind of stuff is crazy. When the weather's good, and the foraging conditions are good. High wind's bad. We've had some wind here, earlier, and that's bad because it cuts down the foraging. But days like today's ideal. But anyway, what I usually go by is when you start seeing bees on the top of the frames, whitening the top of the frames a little bit, that new wax.
Yep.
That's a good indication that it's time.
Yeah.
Okay, and I actually look when the bees were working that super, and they got about half that super built out. Okay, now sometimes you gotta ask yourself if it's drawn comb, it goes a lot faster.
Yeah.
The bees work it faster, and of course there's less effort involved because they don't have to make comb. And so if it's foundation, that's going to slow them down a little bit. But when they have about half, especially on a foundation super, they got about half of it. They're working, have started pulling it good,
Yeah.
and that's when I say it's time to add another super.
Yeah.
You do not want them to run out of space.
No. And I told somebody the other day, right now, this time of year, it's very difficult with the flow like it is to make a mistake giving too much.
That's right.
Where the biggest mistake I think they would make is not having enough.
Yeah, I think so too, most times. And it's a shame sometimes. You got a perfectly good super sitting in your shed, and it needs to be on the bees.
Yeah.
I mean, what? That doesn't make no sense.
That's kind of like running out of gas, but out in the shed, you got a 5-gallon bucket full of gas.
That's right. Yeah, why don't you pour it in there? Why not give them an opportunity? And bees do measure the space they have.
Oh, yeah.
Bees know. And again, they need a little bit of time though, especially on foundation, to clean it even.
Yeah.
You don't think about that, but they got to clean it a little bit, and they got to warm it up.
Yeah.
They got to get it up to temperature. And again, with the temperature being warm like it is today, it's even better because bees make wax better. Wax glands work better in warmer weather.
Yeah.
And so the bees are more efficient at that. But my rule of thumb is when it's half built out, it's time to add another super.
Yeah.
Now, if you go adding too many at one time, say you just stacked up 6 at one time of foundation.
Yeah.
What you'll see sometimes, they'll just comb it right up the middle.
Yeah. It's called a chimney effect.
Chimney effect, that's
Yeah.
right. They leave them outside frames, which is not their favorite. Right now, I'd say if you got foundation and you see the bees are working the center 3 or 4 frames pretty good, you might want to checkerboard.
Yeah.
You can checkerboard supers just like you do brood frames.
Right.
And that's another thing I'd suggest. That full production colony you got that you've been checking with queen cells every now and again, checkerboard that bad boy. Okay, temperature's pretty good enough now. You can move that brood anywhere you want to in there. Don't have to keep it in the same order. And so put some of them outside frames that's underutilized towards the middle to give that queen more of a central brood nest place to lay.
Yeah.
And she will use it. She will use it. And so that will keep the bees happier, and it utilizes all the frames a little better.
Yeah. Now we've had a couple people ask on the page about in the honey supers running 10 frames or 9 frames.
Mm-hmm.
What's your thought on that?
Yeah, I've got thoughts on that too, of course. I like to start with 10. Okay, and just like I do in brood boxes. Okay, if you got a swarm you're putting on foundation or something, I do start with 10. And then again, when they get it about half, okay, that's when I might do some checkerboarding a little bit, and that's when I pull a frame and go to 9.
Space them out.
I do it in brood boxes, and I do it in the supers too. The reason I do it in supers makes it so much easier to get that frame out in the future.
Yeah.
Okay, and then to uncap it to extract honey, so much easier to uncap the honey when it's 9 frames instead of 10, because it's built out a little bit deeper.
Right.
The cappings will cut off smoother. You don't have them little indentions as bad. So it just works so much easier for the beekeeper.
Yeah.
And the amount of honey, you say, well, I'm losing a frame of honey. No, not really, because the honey's still there. You just have it in 9 frames instead of 10.
Yeah.
They're just a little fatter, shall we say. You know, we can say fatter. But I've done that for years, and it works great. I mean, it really does work great. So I do drop to 9 in mine, yes.
Good deal. I do too.
And I do equally spaced now. Don't get the wrong idea.
Oh yeah.
Now, if you mess up on the spacing, bad plan, you get burr cone.
Yeah.
And so I do use one of the spacing tools to be sure my spacing's right.
Yeah. I use the little stainless steel spacing
I
tool
do the same
too.
thing.
And a lot of people have spacers that actually nail to the bar rest, and that's fine. I used to do that, but I found that that's one more place a hive beetle can hide, or a wax moth can hide.
Yep, I agree.
So
and they're hard to clean.
that.
And they're hard to clean. You go scraping the frame rest, they're hard to clean. And so I have used some in the past. Now, if you're going to move your bees a lot, like on the stroller, they're handy. Because it keeps those frames from vibrating as much. I do use them now in a little nuke box that I carry with me some. If I need to move a frame of bees, like to a queen castle or something, I've got those little frame rests in there. That way that frame does not move around. And I keep it stationary and don't have to worry about even damaging the foundation on the cone beside it or whatever. So I do use it there. But generally speaking, I don't use it. Even working a colony, sometimes I want to move a frame over it a little bit, okay, to give myself a little bit more room. Because let's face it, bees don't like to be drug on the side of the frame, raked off, shall we say that way. So there are times when I'll move the frames over just a little bit, and so that gives me that flexibility to do that. But when I go put them back, I always check my spacing. Once you space it, they can't move it.
That's
okay,
right.
so it's going to be how you left it. Let's put it that way.
That's right.
So you can't blame the bees for that. That's the beekeepers there. But the bees are really, I think, turned on pretty good right now. I do want to mention about the packages. The people that bought packages this year, you got to think about a package. Again, those guys that shake those packages, they don't shake them until the field bees are left for the day. Okay, they're trying to give you younger bees, shall we say, because those bees have to last until you get brood emerging to take their place. So the population right now, see, today is what, May 3rd, May 3rd, okay, and most people picked up us on April the 4th, I think. So we've been a month, okay, it's been a month. Okay, and of course it took a couple of days for that queen to start laying. Okay, so at this point, you should have a good bit of capped brood, but that capped brood's not emerging yet. And even more than that, when it does start emerging, again, see, you've got nurse bees, and then you have house bees. Okay, well, some of the house bees you got in there right now, they want to start foraging age-wise, but they can't because they're tied down to the hive. And so you're going to see your packages are foraging less than a full-size colony would be, because those bees have to be dedicated to that work in the hive.
Yeah.
They can't abandon that brood or that queen. And so it'll take another, well, it takes 40 days. Okay, so from the time that queen started laying, it takes 40 days to get you a field bee, forager bee, okay? And so we're not there yet. So you're another, at the most, another 2 weeks out.
So actually, even though we're right in the middle of the flow here where we're at, people who bought packages, they really still need to keep their eye on how much resources they've got in there to eat.
That's right, that's right. Packages should still have feed on them.
Yeah.
And what you're going to notice, they should be slowing down on taking feed.
Right.
Okay, so during the day, those foraging bees will be foraging, and they prefer natural nectar over your syrup.
Right.
Okay, but during nighttime, they can still get to the syrup. Okay, and if you happen to get a rainy day, they still have access to syrup because it can keep them working. Okay, keep them building comb, keep them expanding. But you won't have replacement bees coming on for another 10 to 14 days.
Yeah.
And again, as far as foraging bees go, now you're having nurse bees. You see the population in the hive gaining, but you won't see a lot more foraging activity.
Yeah.
Right now, you have about the least amount of foraging activity from a package that you'll see, period.
Yeah.
Period.
And when they hit it, they'll hit it hard.
They'll hit it go then.
Yeah.
They'll go then. So they'll go a little later, shall we say.
Right.
Now, that's not true for swarms. See, a swarm is a different game plan. A swarm, you got a lot more older field bees.
Yeah.
The majority of swarms are older field bees.
Right.
So if you have a swarm, you're going to notice, gosh almighty, they're foraging like wild things now.
Yeah.
Because again, you've got a different structure of age on your bees.
Yeah.
And also, that's their queen. And I mean, let's face it, within 24 hours of having a swarm, that queen's laying eggs.
Yeah.
And she'll lay eggs on foundation that they've just started pulling the foundation.
I mean, just started.
She'll put pressure on them. Now, if she
Yeah.
puts pressure on them, you better get this cell built.
See,
I'm laying an egg here.
I can envision the queen sitting back and say, okay, y'all need to really wrap it up. And she's spitting out eggs and throwing at them. Say, get it, boys, get it. Girls,
yeah,
I mean.
Yeah, and ain't no doubt
Build
she's
me
doing
some
that.
wax.
Because she put pressure on them, because she will not wait for that cell to be completed before she's laying in it.
Yeah.
But again, what she's trying to do is get that brood cycle going again.
Yeah.
To get those replacement bees coming up. Okay,
Yeah.
so that's what she's doing, and it's amazing how nature can know that. You know.
Yeah. And you know, one more thing before we move on to the flower report is that we've had a couple people ask about. I've had people call me about. Is they'll send me a video, and you talking about the progression that the bees make, different jobs. I've had several people call me or send a message to the page about, oh my gosh, is my colony swarming? And they'll send me a picture of a bunch of bees doing this number right here in front of the hive.
Oh yeah.
And I'll message them back. It's
Yeah.
like, it's an orientation flight.
Yep.
This is a good thing. Can
Yep.
you talk a little bit about that?
Sure, and I get calls all the time about
Oh,
that
yeah.
too. People get nervous real fast. But typically about this time of afternoon, which we're about mid-afternoon now, what happens, a lot of those younger bees, they've never left the hive.
Yeah.
I mean, again, they're 3 weeks old, but they never left the hive.
Yeah.
And so they have to learn to fly.
Yeah.
Okay, how to maneuver those wings a little bit, and they got to learn the orientation of the colony. You know, that way they know their colony from another colony.
Yeah.
Location-wise, as much as it is odor-wise. They know the odor, but it's location. And so they'll come out there in front of the hive, and you see them doing a lot of this action. And they just memorize that location and do a
all they're
little
doing.
play flying. They have to practice fly a little bit.
Yeah.
And then when they start foraging even, they don't go very far.
Yeah.
Okay, that first day, couple days of foraging, they don't go as far. Those older foragers now, they'll hit their daggum road sometimes. And in the mornings, they're gone. Whereas then those younger foragers don't do that. They just don't have the experience yet. So those bees are just out there getting some experience flying, knowing, hey, that's a tree, that's another tree, that's a rock, you know, memorize that location a little bit. That way when they actually become more effective foragers, they got that location memorized so much that flight path is just ingrained in them. And that's always interesting to watch.
Oh gosh, when they're on a hard flow, it's amazing to watch them come out and they're gone.
Yep, they have a purpose.
Yeah.
And again, even coming in, they're amazing. Sometimes it's nice to just take a chair or take an old brood box that's turned up on the end.
Yeah.
That's what I used to do, is an old brood box, you know, sit there, kind of right there in front, not in the front of the colony, but off the side just a little bit, and just watch them.
Yeah.
And those bees are coming in loaded, okay? The air people would call them, I think, heavy, okay? So they're coming in heavy. Well, that hurts their maneuverability.
Yeah.
and you get a little light breeze. You see these bees coming in, all of a sudden you see them checking up speed-wise.
Oh, yeah.
You can watch them checking up speed-wise, and trying to gauge the entrance there a little bit, and that landing board, they're trying to gauge it a little bit, and the wind blows, and all of a sudden they off course, and they back, and again, but they want to get landed. They get in there to what I call the flight deck, to get offloaded. Because their intent is, we need to make another trip. And for productive colonies, let's face it, the more trips those individual foragers make, the more honey they make.
That's right.
So a trip per bee per day can make a difference, because you got a large number of bees. See, that's where that starts adding up a little bit. But it's fascinating to watch them do that.
Oh,
it's fascinating.
Love it.
And to see the different color pollens coming in. That's fascinating. I mean, it really is.
So what do you see in bloom, Bob?
Okay, right now we got a lot of stuff blooming, and again, some of the stuff blooming, the bees will work, but it's not necessarily their favorite. Bees are particular. Okay. It's like me sometimes, okay? I like all fish, but there's certain kinds of fish I like better than others, okay? So bees are kind of the same way on foraging sometimes. But right now our poplars are blooming, poplars in full bloom, and that is one of the bees' favorites, okay? It's a big blossom, it's wide open, plenty of landing area, and they got lots of nectar. Okay, the nectar quality is really good. Got a high sugar content, and so the bees will love it. And so that's their favorite #1 right now.
I was really worried about the tulip poplar, because that bloom's heavy. All them big thunderstorms that we've been having. I don't know how many times I've been working in somebody's yard
to see the blossoms on the ground
everywhere, but I keep having to remind myself, tulip poplars bloom from the top down. So whatever blows out of the top, you still got the rest of the tree.
And you can gauge how much longer that flow is going to be that way too. Because they do start blooming in the top and start blooming down. When you see the very lower limbs in full bloom, it ain't going to last much longer.
It's about done.
It's about done. Now, that's our favorite right now, hands down. The other one that's competing with it, that will compete with it, is hollies. The American hollies are blooming. Okay. Now there's all kinds of different hollies, and some of them bloom earlier and some a little bit later. So there's a mix of that, and that's a good thing. I think it's a good thing. Even right over in my son's yard, I was looking. It was yesterday. It's in full bloom. There's a holly tree right in his front yard. Pretty good sized tree. It's probably 6 inches diameter, 30 foot high. That thing was just literally shaking, working with bees. And this is the middle of the poplar flow too now. So that holly was that attractive that it was drawing definitely some bees, a lot of bees to it. They were loving it. Like I say, it just sounded like a swarm in it. That's how you could hear them, and it literally just shaking the tree. It was amazing. That's beautiful to watch. So the hollies are blooming right now, and that's a good source. Bees love hollies, and that's a good nectar. No doubt. Now we've got a lot of this incidental stuff blooming too. The crimson clover is still blooming.
That's right. We've had moisture.
But we've had moisture. It's still crimson clover blooming. And you can watch it. Again, it blooms at the bottom first and goes to the top. It's exactly opposite to what the poplars do. And so the tops are still good and viable, and bees could be working on. But you see very few bees on them right now. Because there's other stuff that draw them away. Okay. But it's blooming. Of course, you still always have some dandelions blooming. From this time of year, they're not attracted to bees very much. There's too much competition for them. The blackberries are blooming. Bees work blackberries good, but the bees have to be real close to them. And blackberries have a hard time competing with the poplars. And so a hive that stays in one location all the time, the poplar's going to outcompete the blackberries every time.
Well, they know where them trees are.
Oh yeah, no doubt, hands down. But if you're going to pollinate blackberries, like some of us have done, you've got to be sure there's a lot of, at least 10% of the blackberry bloom open before you move bees in there, and you got to move bees right into the blackberries, okay? And they'll start working the blackberries. That's the first thing you find the first morning they're out, shall we say? And they recruit for blackberries then, and man, they'll just cover them up. Again, that's another beautiful thing to watch. But the blackberries in a normal situation have a hard time competing with the poplars. That's just how it is, or the hollies. Now again, we got some other stuff. This yellow stuff you see out here blooming, which is a weed. That's called buttercup. Now it looks like, wow, it'd be all kinds of bees out there. You won't see no bees out there. It does not produce, okay? So it's no effect for bees whatsoever. You won't see them on it. The other thing that can be attractive, depends on where you are a little bit, is privet. Now the privet that's blooming right now is the small leaf privet, okay? And that is our Chinese privet.
Boy, we got a bunch of it around the house.
And
you can smell it inside the house.
Yep, smells good. I
love
like
it.
the smell. I like the smell of it. And so if we can smell it that good, you know what the bees can do.
Oh gosh, yeah.
Okay, but what's it competing against? It's competing against the poplars and the hollies again.
Yeah.
And it can't compete much. Okay, so they got to be real close to the colony to see much bee activity on it. Now, a little bit later on, that will change.
Yeah.
Okay, and again, the later one that will bloom, which is the privet, of course, is the Japanese privet, and that's the large leaf privet. Now, it'll bloom with not much other competition. The bees will tear it up. That's a good source for them then. But right now, the privet has a hard time competing.
Yeah.
Of course, you got some other incidental stuff. I noticed the elderberries are starting to bloom.
Yeah.
And bees will work elderberries sometimes. But again, depends on what else is around.
That's right.
And it's not one of their favorites, okay? Just not one of their favorites. So right now, you're going to see very few bee activity on it. Very few.
Yeah.
But again, if you're not making honey right now, it's a sad deal.
You're doing something wrong.
Something bad wrong, yeah.
Yeah, you're
something
doing
bad
something
wrong.
You either should be making honey or a lot of wax.
Yep.
I mean, a lot of wax.
Yep.
So,
Yep. And bees ought to be pulling wax.
Yeah.
And again, it's always pretty to see that nice white capping stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Oh man, that freshly capped.
I love it.
Man, that looks good. Smells good. Everything about it's good, no doubt. But try to keep some space on your bees. The flow's here.
Oh yeah.
We have all the ingredients. We got temperature now. We got ground moisture. Hey, it's doing it.
It's everything you need.
It's doing it, and the
just
bloom's
like,
on.
Yeah, and just like you said, you know, this time of year, it's really hard to have too much. You know, what's really bad is when you don't have enough, and you're just taking yourself out of the honey game.
Yeah.
When you do that.
Well, again, why stop at one super?
Yeah.
Okay, when they could make 2 or 3.
That's right.
And again, the source right now is so much better than it will be midsummer. Because you know how it gets midsummer.
Yeah.
It gets hot and dry, and there's very few things blooming, and the bees going to sometimes have a hard time even feeding themselves.
Yeah.
But that's not the case right now. They want to hoard it right now. They want to store it, so give them some room to do that.
Yeah. I had a buddy of mine a while back tell me, as a rule of thumb, during a flow, it takes 2 supers of nectar by the time it's dehydrated down to make 1 full super of honey. So you have to, that's one thing, especially new beekeepers, you always got to keep in mind, that shiny stuff you see in there, that's not honey, that's nectar.
That's right.
It's going to be honey someday.
So they definitely have to concentrate it down. I mean,
Yeah.
there's a lot of evaporation. At night, when you're sleeping,
Yeah.
your bees out there blowing air currents
Oh yeah.
through those supers
Oh yeah.
to help pull that moisture off.
Yeah.
Okay, so they're using temperature inside that hive and air currents. It's always amazing, especially late in the afternoon, when most of the foraging's over. The bees are already starting to dehydrate that nectar. Okay, and you go in front of the hives. You ever notice how it smells?
Oh, it smells
Man,
good.
it smells so good. Gosh almighty.
Where's my biscuit?
I mean, just that odor is rolling out of there. And you'll see bees on the landing board just
Yep.
sitting there fanning,
yeah.
just fanning. Well, they're creating them air currents through that hive. Get you a little piece of tissue paper, just a little white tissue paper. Even you can afford a little strip about, ½ inch wide.
Yeah. I don't have much.
3 inches long.
I don't have much
I know
left
you've been
at home.
restricted. I know
Yeah.
you've been restricted. But a little sliver about maybe 3 inches long, ½ inch wide. Just hold one edge of it and just go down right. It's easy, be calm and everything. No smoke. Right there in front of the colony, right there at the entrance. And slowly move that piece of paper across that entrance. And you watch that thing just blowing out.
Yeah.
Just like this.
Oh, yeah.
And all of a sudden you get another 2 or 3 inches over and it's sucking in.
Yeah.
And you go a little further, it's sucking out again.
It's
So the
amazing.
air currents are going both ways,
Yeah.
evaporating that nectar. It's amazing.
It's amazing how a little bug can do something like that.
Yeah, yeah. And again, so much is going on there that we didn't even recognize.
Yeah.
If you're not really sitting there really paying attention.
And
So
I think
nothing wrong.
that's the key. You gotta slow down.
Yep.
Take time to pay attention to what your bees are doing. And it's just amazing what you'll see them do that you wouldn't have seen otherwise.
That's right. And the key to it is slow down some.
Yeah.
Working your bees is going to work so much easier if you slow down anyway.
Yeah.
The bees appreciate that more. If you're in a
That's
big rush, beating and banging around, they don't like that.
That's
They
right.
think something's wrong, and it's not them, it's you.
That's right.
That's every time. But again, I will caution you, right now, with the flow on, the bees are easy to work.
Oh yeah.
Because their intent is to flow, not you, okay? And so, don't get too passive and say, I don't need my smoker. Don't go there. This heavy smoker going, maybe you don't have to put the 1 or 2 little puffs in the front.
Yeah.
Maybe you pop the top, just 1 or 2 little puffs across the top, just to settle the bees a little bit.
Yeah.
Maybe a puff or 2 in your hands. And you don't have to oversmoke them. I don't want to oversmoke them. But at the same time, have that smoker going.
Just in case.
It's going to just keep your bees calmer, and it's just good practice.
That's right.
Okay? Because on up in July, it will be a different story.
You better have it.
You better have it then. So it's a good practice now. So
That's right.
people I've seen in the past kind of get in trouble, shall we say. They say, well, they're so calm and everything, I can do anything I want to. Well, sometimes you're at work. It rained this morning here. You got here mid-afternoon. And guess what? You said, man, it's a beautiful day. I'm going to work bees.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden the bees are not too friendly.
They're not happy.
And so because that rain shower in the morning has turned them off because it's washed nectar out, see?
Yeah.
And it takes time for that to recover. So sometimes you don't know what went on before you got there, is what I'm saying.
That's right.
And so be sure to keep your smoke with you. Yeah, have a little smoke with you. Just good beekeeping practice to be safe, you know.
Is that all you got?
That's about all I got. Right here where everybody's in, though, I've been working on some little wooden projects, trying to patch up some old stuff I had and build some new stuff to upgrade maybe a little bit, try some experimenting. Because again, I'm trying to stay home. You know, I'm trying to restrict my activities some, and so it gives me maybe a little more time to fool with that.
That's right.
And it's part of beekeeping. It's entertaining, you know.
Yeah, that's part of it. If you ain't part of beekeeping to me, other than the bees, is tinkering with stuff like that, trying stuff. You know.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
I love it.
Yeah, and just don't write off. This time of year, of course, everybody's getting in gardens again and everything, which is a good thing. But nothing hurts to plant a few extra things for the bees, maybe.
Yeah.
Okay, and of course, you've heard me before mention lima beans.
Yeah.
Bees love to work lima beans, okay? Especially midsummer when not much else is happening. Lima beans can be a good source of nectar. The bees get nectar from lima beans, and guess what? You can make lima beans. And you can eat lima beans.
That's right.
And so,
And we like lima beans.
yeah, well, I do too. Lima beans and cornbread is hard to beat. But when you plant in your garden, don't forget about the bees, maybe.
Yeah.
And what's wrong with planting a couple extra rows of lima beans somewhere? You know,
That's
not
true.
a thing wrong with that.
That's true. That's true. You know, I just realized something. Did we even introduce ourselves?
I don't think we did.
Hey, y'all. This is Bob Blackwell and Mark Smith, Cabarrus County Beekeepers.
Yeah, we should have started with that, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, the last video we did, it was amazing how many people watched that is not part of the club.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of people out there who don't know who me and you
Well,
are.
that may be true. That'd be so sad. though,
I feel
think.
sorry for them.
Yeah, I do too, in a way. That's pretty sad.
Yeah.
Like I say, fine-looking chaps like we are.
I know. So anyway, we're running. We actually wanted to do this about a week ago, to kind of coincide when we usually have a meeting. But hey, I'll take the blame. I completely forgot. So if we're not able to have our meeting in May, our goal is maybe right the 3rd or 4th week in May. We'll get together and do this same kind of video for May. But hopefully, some of the restrictions will be lifted where we can start having a meeting again. Because I don't know about you, Bob. I miss some of these crazy people.
I do myself.
Yeah.
I do myself. And I want to hear some of these swarm catching stories.
Oh, Lord.
I mean, there ain't nothing better than a bunch of good swarm catching stories about how I had to do this and that, you know.
Well, you know, swarm catching stories is a lot like fishing stories. You know, so you gotta filter through.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh,
What's
yeah.
true,
Yeah.
what's not.
Yeah. The more time it gets told, the bigger that swarm gets every
Hey,
time.
man, by the time it's told 5 times, you did good to get that swarm in your truck.
Yeah, yeah. It's like they say. To start with, you could put them in a nuke. Then you had to put them in a brood box. Now it's taking 2 or 3 brood boxes to, for it to have enough room to get all the bees in it.
I know.
And I heard one guy said he had a bunch of bands around here where you could put them in the back of the truck.
Yeah.
There was so many bees in that swarm, in that box, that them bees started flying in that box, and that box picked up out the back of the pickup truck and took off. Now, you know how that can go.
Well, I hope he went to church the next day and asked for
He needed
forgiveness.
to. He needed to.
Well, look here, y'all. Thank you for tuning in, and great. I'm glad that we can get together and do this. Y'all have a great day.
We'll see.